Good evening, and whoever said the art of the slick, intelligent showbiz interview had passed.
In Braveheart, you did all your action sequences, yeah?
Yeah.
But having heard your Scottish accent, I thought maybe you should have got a stuntman in to do the dialogue bit.
Yeah. Well, why not?
Why not?
That's a fair comment.
That was Dennis Pennis, who, if he ever goes again to Hollywood, would be wise to wear a wig. In the space of half an hour last Friday on BBC Two, he could be seen not just insulting Mel Gibson, but also Steve Martin, Kevin Costner, Pierce Brosnan and Emma Thompson. 41 viewers rang to say they found him offensive, disgusting and unfunny, and it was a waste of licence payers' money. A smallish handful thought, like John Finn, it was
the funniest thing I've seen in ages. Brilliant, refreshing and witty. The guy's got a lot of courage.
Daring on a far grander scale was shown by those who agreed to be filmed for a major new 5-part series which began last Thursday, Defence of the Realm. It claims to show for the first time the very secret world of the Ministry of Defence. The first episode concentrated on the life and times of the top brass of the MOD during a year in which the crisis in Bosnia was top of the agenda. The Prime Minister resigned and was re-elected, and the Secretary of State for Defence changed one afternoon, just like that. Despite snatches from all these dramas, Professor Peter Plesch from Keele University complained bitterly.
It was deeply disappointing that a profoundly interesting and important subject was trivialized by this farrago of unconnected snippets interspersed with only a few relevant, serious and interesting episodes.
Several other viewers felt strongly like this caller.
The programme amounted to a party political broadcast for the Conservative Party.
Although, to be fair to the Minister of State for the Armed Forces, Nicholas Soames, nobody could have accused him of being part of that conspiracy.
On the brink of leaving for Bosnia, there's just one cloud on Mr. Soames's horizon.
Minister, before we leave, do you have everything?
You know, the appalling thing is that ministers, as I've always said, are surplus to war requirements, and I have left my passport in London. It is almost unthinkable. And I'm not going to tell you what my platoon sergeant at Mons once called me, but he was quite right, and that was 25 years ago.
And the wit and wisdom of the Minister for the Armed Forces apart, a former MOD employee rang to say,
to the non-expert, this series might look as if it's marvellously revealing, but if the BBC had wanted to take a really close look at the goings-on in the MOD, they wouldn't have got past the front door.
Defending the mean streets of South Yorkshire, the fictional tough CID guys in Out of the Blue, they who have never ever trained in the art of softly, softly policing.
Shut up. If you just nod your head, yes or no, all right? Are there any weapons in there? Are there any other ways out? Good lad. You stay here.
Raffy! Oh dear, look at you, eh? Not a happy bunny, are we?
Ouch. A few complaints about unnecessary violence, a few more about the use of a handheld camera. Directors insist it makes matters more dramatic and realistic. Viewers aren't nearly so convinced. One caller this week described it as abysmal and tiring to the eye. Grievous bodily harm to the ears in the form of loud neighbours was a subject discussed on Monday in the Ranson Report. Here's how one woman's delightful piano playing proves to be another woman's understandable nightmare.
Which is your 10:30 bit, Mrs. Lovett? What do you do at 10:30?
At 10:30, perhaps 3.
Well, it's like having your own orchestra. A little bit next door.
No, she does play louder than that at night time.
And how loud can you play, Mrs. Lovett?
5:30. Look, can I emphasise that Mrs. Lovett has got a baby grand?
Does it sound louder on a baby grand?
It may do.
It may do.
My sympathy entirely with the woman in the audience, an example of how even the very best in music can become a terrible racket if you're not in charge of the off button. But a surprisingly angry and unsympathetic response to the programme, which not only dealt with noisy neighbours but also disputes about bushes, fences, borders and trees. Several viewers felt the debates were either trivialised or one-sided.
We deserve to be presented with a serious look at problems between neighbours. This is all tongue-in-cheek stuff.
Not wishing to be taken seriously at any time, the late Peter Sellers, the first of Parkinson the Interviews, a rerun of some of the classics from his show in the 70s and 80s. This series, as last year, proving enormously popular. From 1974, P. Sellers telling Parky a joke.
He said, aren't you going to play That's What You Are? So Alan said, I'd love to play That's What You Are, but I don't know how it goes. He said, good God. He said, what is the country coming to? He said, I never thought I'd reach the day when somebody didn't know That's What You Are. He said, well, if you sing it, I'll try. He said, it goes like this. Unforgettable. Yes. You are.
Still good for a laugh, or as one viewer rang to say,
as fresh today as it was when it was originally shown.
The Coming of Age series, looking at all aspects of growing old, continues. As part of it, Modern Times tackle the subject of romance, where the age gap is unusually large. It featured 3 couples who have found happiness despite being born years apart. Here is Catherine, age 17, who lives part-time with Alan, age 44, and part-time with her parents, who for Christmas obligingly gave the couple a double bed.
We met 2 years ago when Alan was in Phantom of the Opera, and a friend of mine was going to interview him for a magazine, and I went along.
I think we are of a very similar age as far as our souls are concerned.
He's completely off his head. Yeah. A total nutter. No. It's weird. He is very young.
Spot the grown-up. A small smattering of comments varying from,
what tragic couples they are. I feel sorry for everyone involved.
or more cheerfully,
brilliant and heartwarming.
Nothing depressing about this bunch of fox cubs being cared for at the RSPCA hospital in West Hatch, Somerset.
We haven't given them names yet or anything, knowing that if in the end they do actually get released, I think it'll be a lot easier if I haven't got too attached. I find that's quite easy in the late nights and early mornings and they don't want to take the milk, but when they're lying on their backs after just having been fed, looking all cute and dinky, it's a difficult one.
Fox cubs there, just 5 days old. For those approaching a more mature time of life, I will leave you with another gem from the coming of age season, The 7 Ages of Man, in which the exotic Molly Parkin, now 64, explained to Dr. Anthony Clare the joys of growing old, although, of course, not every woman who has passed the big 6-0 has quite Molly's memories.
Since I've just about done everything that I would ever have wished to have done, like go on stage, write best-selling novels, appear on television, travel to Tahiti and Egypt and the South Pole, done all of those things. Now I don't feel any, so all my ambitions have been realised, and I've had every lover that I ever would have wanted, you know, in running into a cast of thousands. I now don't have to do that anymore because I've done it.
Lucky old Molly. Good night. And if you have any comments on BBC television programmes, please write to Points of View, BBC Television, London W12 7TS, or phone or fax 0181.